court here. I'm back at the Gold State coach, and honestly, I think it is brightening all the time. And certainly that gold looks to be gleaming ever more. I was listening to Sir David Attenborough yesterday evening talking about the importance of the Queen's coronation 70 years ago in terms of the history of television. And you look at all of the
Hey, what's up guys? Ayan, good morning sa inyong lahat. Ayan, panibagong araw, panibagong vlog na naman tayo mga kabisdak. Ayan, diretso na tayo ngayon mga kabisdak. Walang intro to. So ngayon mga kabisdak, ayan, araw ng 6 ng May. Ayan, ngayon po ay gaganapin po yung yung coronation ni King Charles. So si King Charles po, siya po yung anak ni Queen Elizabeth, yung dating yumaong queen. So ngayon kokoronahan siya ngayong araw na to. So ayan mga kabisdak, panoorin natin. Na-excite na ako dahil gusto kong panoorin yung yung kanyang coronation ngayon. So kahit hindi tayo natutulog pa, so manonood tayo ngayon. So unahin muna natin mga kabisdak yung natin, yung ating yung tawag nito, yung procession, kasi yung procession mahaba yun. So tapos mamaya dadalawahin ko tong aking vlog na to. So yung procession at saka yung doon sa simbahan mga kabisdak. So ngayon mga kabisdak, umpisa na natin, panoorin na natin yung procession ni King Charles ngayon. Bali iikot siya dito sa London, sa dito sa malapit sa palace. So mga kabisdak, so let's go.
The other side of the bay, crossing the Winston Churchill Memorial, across the tomb of the unknown warrior, some members of his family, and just acknowledging there the Governors General of the Commonwealth Realms. His presence here today, of course, is also greatly valued, a reminder of the late Queen's untiring commitment to the bishops, and so King Charles III emerges from Westminster Abbey with the sound of the bells and the crowds outside. His whole life has been spent in readiness for this day, and by his own insistence, despite his age, there is much that he still wants to achieve in this reign. So with the Abbey bells sounding the news of his coronation throughout the United Kingdom and beyond, Charles's journey as crowned sovereign is about to begin.
The bells ring out, and our Hugh was guiding us through that beautiful, very moving service in Westminster Abbey. This was happening outside. The rain was falling, but within the rain we saw the formation of the largest military procession in this country for 70 years. Over 4,000 personnel from 3 military services and the Commonwealth, as well as the marching bands on foot and mounted, will make this a feast for the eyes and the ears. It is already in position. It stretches for a mile down the Mall, through Admiralty Arch, along Whitehall, all the way to Westminster. It is a magnificent sight. The Royal British Legion there on the inside around Parliament Square. And every regiment of the army represented. And at the head of this procession, leading the way, is the Brigade Major, Lieutenant Colonel James Shaw of the Grenadier Guards. His grandfather took part in Queen Elizabeth's coronation in 1953. And behind him we have the mounted band of the Household Cavalry. And behind them, the King's Troop, commanded by Major Fran Sykes. And the band of the Royal Regiment of Scotland leads detachments from the Realm and Commonwealth forces and British Overseas Territories, and they will be flanked by 124 flag bearers. We have the RAF as well, commanded by Group Captain Stephen Harrison. We have the Army Royal Armoured Corps led by their colonels, the Army Corps, which includes the much-loved Gurkhas. We will show you all of this, but interestingly, they will all march off at the same time, and they are waiting for a command from Garrison Sergeant Major Andrew Stokes from the Coldstream Guards. We've mentioned Vern before. He's one of the, and indeed both, processions. He will give a command that will be passed down right to the front and to every single person marching, and they will move off at the same time, and they will march to the same beat, indeed the same tune. It's the first time that's been attempted. They've been rehearsing for 6 weeks to ensure that all of the bands are synchronised. And towards the back of the procession, you've caught a glimpse of it already, the Gold State Coach. And you may think this is the sort of thing you'd find in fairy tales. In fact, I rather suspect the fairy tales were inspired by this. It was first seen in public in 1762 when George III ordered it for the state opening of Parliament. It is 260 years old. Brigadier Greville Bibby, CBE, is alongside me. There is the command. Now it will take a few seconds for that to filter down. And the procession will all move off together.
That is remarkable. So the whole parade started together, and you notice that he paused as it was being counted down in his ear. The same countdown for, as I say, all the bass drums. That's a remarkable feat.
And so begins the coronation procession, the route back from Westminster Abbey to Buckingham Palace. And this is where the fun begins, because the service, quite rightly, is solemn, it is serious. It was, I think, extremely emotional for those taking part and I think for most people watching. But this is almost a relief. Everything so far has gone absolutely like clockwork. And that golden coach, although it has poor suspension and may not be the most comfortable ride, it looks immaculate. It is glistening, it is gleaming. And it's made of gilt wood. That's a thin layer of gold leaf over wood. The interior is satin and velvet, and you see on the outside the panels are painted with Roman gods and goddesses.
It also ensures that the King and Queen are the driest people on the parade.
That is true. Here we see the Commonwealth troops and the flags being carried on the outside as well. And there are 8 groups in total in this coronation procession.
Flags being carried by guardsmen across the household division.
And here we have the first of the carriages following the Gold State Coach, and you can see the Prince and Princess of Wales and their 3 children. Prince George, who played such a good role there as Page of Honour, and Princess Charlotte, who's just celebrating her 8th birthday, and Prince Louis as well, who was 5 last month. Very exciting for them. And the King and Queen, the King wearing his imperial state crown and carrying the sceptre with its cross and the orb, and wearing King George VI's robe of estates, and the Queen with her newly made robe of estates, and Queen Mary crown. The Gold State Coach is drawn by 8 Windsor Greys, and among those riding for the first time, Lucinda Perrott, first female rider in the team of riders. And there we can see Prince Louis He's got a good view, he's got the outside seat, and Princess Charlotte waving enthusiastically. She's wearing a very beautiful Bruce Oldfield dress, and it's very similar in design, almost matching the one that her mother is wearing. And right at the front of the procession, you can see it's halfway down the mall already. Apollo and Atlas. You see the drum horses at the front there, ridden by Apollo being ridden by Corporal of the Horse Richard Brown, and Atlas ridden by Lance Corporal of the Horse James Palatine.
We saw Apollo slightly misbehaving at the beginning, didn't we? They did so well to control him.
He was tricky, he was being tricky. Now, a very quick change and leg up for Her Royal Highness the Princess Royal, because you saw her leaving Westminster Abbey to a side door, and in a matter of minutes she is now mounted, and she is not far behind her brother the King, and she is Gold Stick in waiting and Colonel of the Blues and Royals, and I think fair to say the best rider on parade. She's a former Olympian and European Open champion as well, so she knows what she's doing, and she is riding a horse called Falkland. There she is, and looking extremely comfortable en route. I think the rain has eased up here, just in time.
She's riding with the other colonels of the regiments of foot guards. Next to them, Lieutenant Generals James Button, Coldstream Guards.
And we'll have a look further ahead in the parade, because the RAF make a particularly impressive sight because of their white gloves, and you can really see those two whales. They stayed in a B&B, and they went into the Brecon Beacons with the mountain rescue team to see the sort of work they do. The Royal Navy here, making the turn in front of the statue of Charles I, in front of Trafalgar Square and through Admiralty Arch.
They're commanded by Captain Sophie Shaughnessy. She's a marine engineer who served with great distinction in the Royal Navy, Bosnia and the Gulf, amongst other places, and this is her last duty in uniform, commanding the Royal Navy coronation.
And they're the band of the Royal Marines with their white pith helmets. Windsor Greys, it looks so striking, and there have been various colours used, of silver for the Silver Jubilee, gold for the Golden Jubilee, and the King picking royal blue. Passing the cenotaph, coming up towards the memorial for the women of World War II. Back on the Mall, you can see the full glory of this enormous procession. As we've said, the largest for 70 years.
It is, and as you said earlier, it's divided into eight distinct groups. Brigade Major leading from the front, and then you've got the Royal Air Force, closely followed by the regiments from the Royal Army. The senior army corps, the infantry following them. Behind them are the junior army corps, and hopefully we'll see all these different regiments and units closely in a minute. And then, as we've seen, the Royal Navy and the Royal Marines bringing up the rear. Of course, that's a great honour for them as the senior service. They are closest to the monarch. Behind them, the foot guards and household cavalry dismounted.
So the Gold State coach making good progress down Whitehall. Pause the national anthem. All 5 regiments of the Foot Guards now making that turn, and they will have to funnel themselves through those 3 arches, so quite a feat, level of organisation.
It certainly is, and it's going to get even more challenging when they come to the gates of the forecourt of Buckingham Palace. We see there behind the Foot Guards, we have a number of different organisations, the Open Orders, the Royal Watermen, as we mentioned before, the King's Bodyguard, the Yeomen of the Guard, the Royal Company of Archers, and the Honourable Company of Gentlemen at Arms. All 5 regiments of Foot Guards with their King's colour ahead of them, and their regimental lieutenant colonels and commanding officers on parade. There you see the dismounted regiments of the Household Cavalry, the Blues and Royals, and the Life Guards.
Commonwealth troops in the overseas territories. And it's wonderful to know the reach that today is having around the world.
447 representatives of the Commonwealth Armed Forces on parade. And of course the King is head of the Commonwealth, and very interested to learn that he has managed to visit 45 of the 56 Commonwealth countries, which is quite a feat.
His first visit was at the age of 5. I think he went to Malta, first of all. It's only a year after he attended the Queen's coronation. He was on his first official trip to a Commonwealth country. You see that grandstand behind. They've got a lovely view now. Back with the Prince and Princess of Wales. And the children all at the same school now, at Lambrook School in Windsor. And Princess Charlotte, I know, is massively into her gymnastics. And two princes enjoy their sport as well. And I think their parents are very keen to ensure they have an outdoor lifestyle as much as possible, a normal childhood, as much as is possible. And there we find their Royal Highnesses, the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, with their children, Lady Louise Mountbatten-Windsor and James, Earl of Wessex. Louise is 19 now. She's studying English at St Andrews University, and she'll be particularly appreciative of the driving of the carriages. Carriage driving, a great love of hers. And in the final carriage, the Duke and Duchess of Gloucester and Vice Admiral Sir Timothy Lawrence. And the King and Queen Camilla have a chance now to really enjoy the crowds who have gathered and acknowledge them as much as possible. And having got through... the Canadian Mounted Police. Now the Mounties have a wonderful relationship with the Crown. They have over the years gifted many horses to the late Queen, and indeed are giving a horse to the King that he will ride for the King's birthday parade, as it will be, triple colour, in future years. So the Mounties have a very prime position.
have. I mean,
And actually, I think all of those horses here have been gifted to the royal family. So they are being ridden here, but they actually now belong to the royal family.
and I was going to say, what an extraordinary thing for them to be able to do, to come away from Canada and ride at the head of the royal procession.
The Royal Air Force have reached the Queen Victoria Memorial, and I mentioned this earlier, all of the marching elements to this will make their way into the gardens of Buckingham Palace, and they will form up there to salute the King. Because they're ahead of the Gold State coach, they haven't had the chance to see him since he's been crowned, but they will in the gardens.
Mass bands of the Household Division.
You were making a point earlier, Gravel, about the importance of music to both the infantry and indeed cavalry, but that beat, the importance of keeping everybody on a beat.
It is, but also the idea that the music is a morale booster. It makes everyone, lifts everybody. So if you're going into battle, to have music in front of you is reassuring. And of course, when the enemy hear that loud beat coming towards them, it also puts fear into them. So it plays many different parts, like the ceremonial side.
Prince and Princess of Wales and Princess Charlotte and Prince George and Prince Louis still enjoying their ride.
I was going to say earlier, I was trying to interrupt you. I think they might compete for best show and tell at school, don't you?
Oh, I think they will. I have to say that we were awarding, medals, obviously medals to all the pages in the service, but also a medal to Penny Moore, who President of the Privy Council. It's a heroic effort.
Heroic is the word. I was talking about the ensigns who carry all the colours, the flags out on parade, and they'll be extremely heavy with the rain. But she was holding that ceremonial sword.
And you see there the flags of the Commonwealth nations. Some kids and lilies on the left there. The Princess of Wales looking absolutely beautiful. Prince of Wales is wearing underneath those robes the uniform of the Welsh Guards. He is now there.
There's their colonel. And of course, the Princess of Wales is the colonel of the Irish Guards.
And both of them wearing formal robes and mantles.
Here we have the infantry.
The airport here. And back at the Gold State coach. And honestly, I think it is brightening all the time. And certainly that gold looks to be gleaming ever more.
The representatives of the realms and dependent territories of Great Britain either side. It's a great honour for them.
I was listening to Sir David Attenborough yesterday evening talking about the importance of the Queen's coronation 70 years ago in terms of the history of television. And you look at all of the personal filming that's going on, of footage taken, individual footage taken. It must be covered by more cameras, if you see what I mean.
Reduce the flank, the frontage of 12 into a frontage of 6.
So it's sort of halving itself in
Yes.
Is that what you mean?
And I have to say, the Navy have just executed that absolutely superbly. See the streetliners there, still standing there. They've been there since 9 o'clock this morning as the Coldstream Guardsmen saluting the royal family.
And I wanted to ask you about the 5-pace gap of the streetliners. How is that measured?
Well, you might be familiar with some senior non-commissioned officers. In fact, you see the Garrison Sergeant Major in the background there, right in the sort of left middle of the screen, carrying a stick, and that's called a pace stick. And it is, when it's opened, it replicates a 30-inch pace, and they use the pace stick to get the 5 paces that they need between each streetliner. There is pace-sticking world championships, Claire. Did you know that? It's amazing the way they manage to control their horses in such circumstances. Particularly musicians, as we said earlier, who don't necessarily have hands on the reins.
Talking horsemanship, you see Her Royal Highness the Princess Royal there, back right of the gold state coach, so relaxed in the saddle. And it's not easy riding. The point is, A, it's not easy riding, but B, riding in uniform, riding in boots that have no give, that are stiff, that makes it a little bit harder.
Well, they've also got spurs on as well, Claire, which are really quite sharp. And should they inadvertently allow a spur to wander into the side of the horse,
It will take off.
not ideal. Soft's escort pulled off to the left. I don't think they'll be going into the gardens. I'm sure that gardeners
The gardeners would like it.
very happy if those horses appeared on their lawn.
No, they will be taken back to the news. And as the gold state coach disappears, we have one last look at Prince Louis there, and the Prince and Princess of Wales, and Prince George and Princess Charlotte. We will next see all of those who were involved marching on procession. We'll see them formed up in the gardens behind the palace, and a chance to personally salute the King and Queen. And that was impressive in scale and execution and accuracy and uplifting.
So uplifting and so unique to get representatives from across all the armed forces on parade at the same time together to celebrate the new monarch.
And great credit to those who have planned it and to the work that's gone in rehearsing some of those rehearsals through the middle of the night.
But indeed, and you know, we expect our ceremonial troops and others to do a good job. That's what we've come to expect. But actually, so many of the personnel on parade today it's not what they do every day. They come off their ships, they come from their air colours and standards there around the Queen Victoria Memorial.
A wonderful, glorious sight. Hugely enjoyed, I think, by those present here, but also by those watching. And one last duty for those military personnel to perform. Garrison Sergeant Major Andrew Stokes giving the order now for them to remove headdress and call out for 3 cheers.
Headdress! Charlie! 3 cheers for His Majesty the King and Her Majesty the Queen! Head down! Head down! Head down! The parade will replace headdress! Replace! Headdress! Charlie!
And the mass pipes and drums are now playing a tune called King Charles III. think Andrew Stokes, known as Vern, can reflect on a job really well executed there. I've never heard 3 cheers resound so loudly in an open space.
I was the wrong person to ask the commentator on this. I'm actually in tears. I mean, that was really amazing.
And you saw the Yeoman of the Guard saluting the King as he went back into Buckingham Palace, and we will see the King and Queen shortly alongside working members of the royal family on the balcony. And we still have a tri-service military fly past with 68 aircraft filling the skies above, but as far as the ground is concerned, the job that these 4,000 have done and the role they have played is almost complete.
And now got to pick up their weapons. There you go. And not let their bearskins fall off. They can't look down. Well done.
So Greville, overall, what would your reflections be on what you've seen of the coronation procession?
Well, we've talked about the scale of the parade, because it is big. It's the biggest thing I've seen in my time. I was serving, as you said earlier, for 34 years. But I think it's the delivery of the most extremely complex military operation, because that's what it was. It was a military operation delivered to perfection. And a wonderful, wonderful tribute to our King. And finally, Claire, it just makes you proud to be British.
Well, most of these servicemen and women have been on the go since 3:30 this morning, when they left their bases to take the train to London, and nearly 11 hours later, they will now disperse. They will head back by train to those bases, and they can be very proud of the part they have played in a procession that truly was fit for a king and a queen.